Hi, I'm Aubrey Peacher. I want to help better your understanding of what it is like for students that struggle with obsessive compulsive disorder, also known as OCD. By the end of this lesson, you should understand what OCD is, what causes it, the different types that are most common in children, and the behaviors related to those types. You should also understand what services that they qualify for, and most importantly, how you as a teacher can help them in the classroom, as well as some community resources that can benefit the child and their family. As we move on, there will be a short video that will help you to better understand what living with obsessive compulsive disorder is like. As you watch, please keep in mind how you would feel if you were the one struggling with this disorder. Obsessive compulsive disorder is an anxiety condition in which a child is plagued by unwanted thoughts, images, or impulses. These are called obsessions. The child attempts to fend off or neutralize the obsessions by performing ritualized or repeated behaviors called compulsions. Unfortunately, for someone with OCD, it is a never-ending cycle. It starts with the obsessions, which leads to the child having strong feelings of anxiety that he or she feels they must relieve in the form of a compulsion. This relieves the anxiety until another obsession surfaces and the cycle begins again. Scientists do not yet know exactly what causes someone to have obsessive compulsive disorder. However, they believe that there are 3 factors that may be possible causes. Through neuroimaging, researchers are able to demonstrate that certain areas of the brain act differently with someone who has OCD versus someone that does not. They believe that this is a result of abnormalities in the brain where the neurotransmitters prevent messages from reaching various parts of the brain. Another possible cause could be gene connection. According to BeyondOCD.org, about 25% of OCD sufferers have an immediate family member with the disorder. Also, twin studies have shown that if one identical twin suffers from OCD, the other will most likely have it as well. Active research concerning genetics and OCD is still ongoing. Environmental factors can play a role in OCD as well. Learning theorists believe that behavior conditioning may contribute to the development of the disorder. Children who see adults consistently responding to stress with compulsive behavior can develop similar behaviors. There are many different types of OCD, but the following are the most common among children. Magical thinking is kind of like a superstition. If you think back to when we were kids, we used to say, "Step on a crack, break your mother's back." It's kind of like that, but intensified. A child would worry that his or her thinking could cause someone to get sick, hurt, or die. For example, a child might think, "If I touch everything in my bedroom, my dad won't get into a car accident." They truly believe that their thoughts can directly lead to an unrelated action or event. Catastrophizing is when a child immediately believes that something bad has happened if things do not go exactly the way they are supposed to. For example, a child might believe that their parents have abandoned them if they show up 5 minutes late to pick them up from school. The what-if type is when the child is plagued by lots of different thoughts like, "I can't hold my baby brother. What if I drop him and he dies?" Symmetry is another type of obsession where the child must have things lined up perfectly or set in the perfect place for fear of bad luck if they don't do it. Contamination is the most common type of all. This is one that you are most likely to see in your classroom. It is when the child believes that they have germs all over them and they are fearful of what they touch and who or what touches them. These children constantly wash their hands throughout the day. There are many other signs and behaviors, such as a child who cannot tolerate certain words or sounds. Some rituals may be noticeable, like touching everything in the classroom for what seems like no reason. However, some can be all in the child's mind, where they may not be paying attention to a lesson because they are busy repeating the same word over and over in their head in order to avoid bad luck. A child with OCD can qualify for either a 504 plan or an IEP under IDEA. It all depends on if the child's severity is bad enough that it's affecting their learning abilities. If the child has a mild case and just requires some classroom or general testing accommodations, a 504 plan may be the best option. But if the child needs specialized instruction, curriculum modifications, or intense testing accommodations, then the team may want to proceed with an IEP. It is also important to keep in mind that OCD could be comorbid with another disability, condition, or diagnosis. Therefore, it may not be the primary disability. The child may receive services under the primary disability and just receive accommodations for OCD. There are many different ways to help children with OCD excel in the classroom. Some or all of these strategies may be ones you want to add to your teacher toolkit. Allow the child extra time to take tests. If the child has issues with writing because it must be perfect in his or her eyes, he or she is going to need more time to finish. Or the use of technology can really be helpful to these students too. It may be easier for the child to type his or her responses or notes on the computer. This way the child does not have to worry about the perfection of his or her handwriting. Plan out a communication system so that if the child feels oncoming symptoms, he or she can just signal to you that they need to leave the room or take care of the issue without interrupting the class. Sit the child down and ask what his or her triggers are. This way, you may have a better idea of what to avoid and how to better help them. Sticking to a schedule is a great way to help a child with OCD, as changes can be very disruptive for them. The buddy system can also be a helpful strategy. It can help the child to not feel alone, as well as to provide the child with someone to help them focus and stay on task. It's also a great way to foster a friendship, as many students with OCD feel misunderstood and alone. A few great resources that I have found are as follows. The International OCD Foundation. Their homepage allows you to type in your zip code and instantly find therapists, clinics, and programs, support groups, and organizations that are there to help those that struggle with OCD. Their contact information is as follows. The Child Mind Institute is also a great resource, as they have an intensive OCD program that is led by Dr. Jerry Bubrick. They work with the family and child to provide the best experience possible. They work with the family's schedules as well as the child's school schedule. Their information is listed as well. Anxiety BC is also a great resource. It is a small charity that helps those that struggle with anxiety to provide self-help. They have what they refer to as a map that guides the parents on the best techniques to understanding and helping their child at home. Their contact page shares even more resources that can be helpful for a parent that has a child with OCD. They even have a kids help phone line for ages 5 to 20 that is available 24 hours a day, allowing them to speak to a professional counselor. It's free, confidential, and anonymous. As we close, I hope that you will reflect on the video shown to you at the beginning. Try to understand what it is like for someone that struggles with obsessive-compulsive disorder, and remember to be kind. Also, when you see children who struggle with OCD in your classroom, please remember the strategies I went over and add them to your teacher toolkit. Continue to expand your toolkit with the various ways that can help children with OCD. The following are the sources that I used. The Child Mind Institute is a great one, along with Kids Health, BeyondOCD.org, and the professional journal I found on the EBSCO host database. Thank you so much, and I hope you have learned everything you need to know to help your child in your classroom with OCD.